Welcome back. Now, as we adjust to new ways of living, we're also adjusting to new ways of working from home, juggling children, Wi-Fi and dodgy desks made out of ironing boards.
On top of all of that, we've had to communicate in new ways with our colleagues through video calling, an often scary concept for many. So how can we overcome this? Well, the author of Goodbye Glossophobia and former live BBC producer Esther Stanhope joins us on the line now with her advice. Good morning to you, Esther. Thank you for joining us today.
Morning, Esther.
Good morning. Good morning, Anna. Good morning, Laura. Lovely to hear from you this morning.
We just mentioned there in our introduction that we are finding new ways of having to communicate now with our colleagues remotely. So for the first timers, video calling and video conferences can be quite daunting. Is that what you're finding?
Absolutely. I mean, who would have thought that we would have had ministers and people working for the government in their houses? I mean, as you can see, I've set myself up a mini TV studio here just because I already had started doing some remote sessions and masterclasses and stuff. But actually, it's because I really wanted to have an environment where I could actually not worry about my background too much. But now it's like all bets are off. People are in kitchens, people have got washing behind them, and a lot of people are kind of doing it quite badly.
OK, so we need to know how to do it well, because you talk about the fear of public speaking. Combine the fear of public speaking with the fear of talking on technology that lots of people aren't really that familiar with, Esther. Why are people scared of taking conference calls?
Absolutely. So, I mean, first of all, it's, if you're not used to being in the spotlight, suddenly having a camera on you is pretty scary. And what I find is a lot of people say, I hate myself on camera. I hate cameras. There's something about, I'm in the spotlight, and you feel kind of violated in a way sometimes, and then it's recorded, so somebody could like come back and show your dirty washing behind you, and there's something quite naked about being exposed like that on camera. But there are I've got a few tips, if you like, of how to look good on camera.
Yes,
immediately. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a very, very quick formula that you can take away and learn, and you can be better today, literally. So what I did was I came up with this acronym called, just to be easy, it's called LENS, L-E-N-S, LENS, because you've got to remember that rule one of how to look good in conference calls and remote meetings is look at the lens. Don't look at the screen. Because what you're doing, and you've seen on the news, some people are looking at the screen. They're engaging with the person, so they're looking like this.
Yes, that's so true.
Hi, how are you? Good morning. And now, I mean, I was talking to a client of mine, actually in the government, who was doing a job interview the other day, and people are doing job interviews for top jobs, but they're not looking at the screen. They're looking at the screen, not the lens. So a very, very, very quick story behind how you can remember to look at the lens is if you remember the late, great TV presenter Cilla Black. Do you remember Cilla Black?
Yes, of course we do.
Cilla Black used to call camera one Bobby because she loved her late husband. That was her late husband. She was in love with him. And it reminded her, camera one, she just thought, if I call the camera Bobby, it will remind me to look at that and have a relationship with that. So love the lens.
Esther, you've got plenty of other tips for us as well, and one of the things that you're advocating is that we definitely take our time prior to our video conference call. So we set up, we make sure we have the right PIN number, we make sure that we're in a calm, quiet environment. So all of these things are going to alleviate the anxiety somewhat.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the main thing is don't dial in at the last minute. You've got to have your game face on. Take your time. Make sure you've got a couple of minutes, because there's so many different platforms now, and you don't want to be flustered when you're going to be on camera. You want to set yourself up. You want to love the lens. You want to set yourself up with a half decent shot. I've just been speaking to Dan in your gallery. We're just confirming, more or less, aim for eyes a third of the way down the screen. Because what we're having is, because people have got their laptops like this or their iPad, and it's like we're looking at nostrils, and it's not very flattering looking up. So try and get the camera, get some books, whatever. Try and get your camera a little bit above chin height, much more flattering, and your eyes about a third of the way down. But another really good tip, and this is for public speaking, this is for any sort of performance, having been a live BBC producer, one of the main rules of thumb if you want to look good when you're on camera is eyes and teeth, smile. Smile Smile. Are you smiling now?
We're smiling now.
We're laughing.
You're making us smile and laugh.
The thing is, you want your face to be going upwards because your brain thinks that you're relaxed and happy. Your eyes sparkle. I know that if you've got a more serious topic, like I know we've been talking about COVID-19, but even then, you want your face to be more up than down, because a camera will make you look much more, it will magnify your facial expression. So if you're grimacing or you look a bit kind of serious, it's not very camera friendly. So having your face going up is much more camera friendly, and it relaxes your lower palate, which gives you a better voice.
A better tone. Okay. What are your thoughts on people, let's say, doing kind of corporate conference calls? Should they be dressed as if they're in work? Are the pajama bottoms on the bottom half acceptable?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've got my walking shoes on underneath. I've put on a half-decent jacket. But look, I've still got my walking shoes on.
So that's allowed if you're doing it.
Look, dress from the waist up. That's absolutely fine. But I've seen people have been emailing me their disastrous examples of conference calls. One guy in America had no trousers on.
Yes.
And the shot was just on his thigh. You could see her naked thighs. Oh, no. Look, the point is, this is your chance to make an impression. What does your audience need? Do they need you to look like a leader? Do they need you to look like you're on top of your game? Do they need you to look like you've just played a game of tennis? However you want your audience to receive you, dress appropriately.
Esther, can I ask you as well, in terms of interjecting in a video call, because it is an artificial environment and there could be 12 or more members on this call. How do you make yourself heard? Or is it okay to send a message? Do you look like you're not paying attention? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. You're absolutely right. Navigating your way around the technology is difficult because you want to be giving the lens attention. If you're tapping away in the chat room, then you're not looking at the lens. There's loads of different tips. I mean, one of the tips about how to work with a group of 12 is that you really want a really good host. You need to have the rules. The rules are have a good chair, have a good host. Agree before the meeting who's hosting it. If you're the host, it's your job, just like you, and you're doing it brilliantly, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Esther.
If you're the host, it's your job to get the best out of people in that meeting. If you've got something to say, it's your job. There's lots of different technologies, like, for example, there's a show of hands technology, or there's a thumbs up technology, or there's a chat room. There's ways of getting attention. Or you could say, Anna, I have a point there. Anna, I have something to say in a moment.
Okay.
Or, you've got to just get in there. I mean, it is a disaster, though, at the moment. People are kind of talking over each other, don't know if they can be silent, not sure how to look, not sure where to look. And so I think people are getting a bit better.
Well, you've given us a few valuable lessons this morning, Esther. Your book is out for anyone who does have glossophobia. Glossophobia, which means the fear of public speaking. Goodbye, glossophobia. Look, I have a copy here.
I would imagine it's very helpful, but in that book you also have included, in terms of preparing yourself for meetings, and not only virtual meetings, but we will be meeting once again. So speaking in public with faces, which is a whole new challenge and a whole new problem for so many.
Absolutely, yeah. And actually, being a camera on you is a bit like having an audience of 300 people walking in.
Yeah, very true.
They're very similar tips.
Yeah.
Esther Stanhope, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thanks, Esther.
And you. Stay safe.
And a reminder that Esther's book, Goodbye Glossophobia, is out now.
But up next, some of the best sports books of all time to pass your time during isolation.